Good evening, and welcome to Hanging with the Walkers. Here with my host and co-host, Rogers Walker. Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to another wonderful segment of Hanging with the Walkers. And of course, you don't see my better half, but he's here and in my heart. The bills have to be paid. I tell you, every Monday he's not here. That's what keep the lights on and keep our videos rolling. So shout out to my boo thing, praying that he has safe travels there and back home. We are so happy tonight to be with the one and only Stacy Lee Williams of King Leo Productions. Welcome, Stacy.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Man, we were just having a good old, big old time backstage, hanging out, just sharing some things. And I hope you're ready for the ride on tonight. I hope you're ready to discover, share, and feel what it is that I experienced as I began to do my research on Miss Stacy Lee Williams. Exciting. I was just sharing with her. I felt like I was with her on every trip that she ever had. I felt like every corner she turned, every cruise and flight she took, I felt like I was on it because of how she expressed herself on her blog. So thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to hang out with us tonight on Hanging with the Walkers. So first of all, I want our Hanging with the Walkers family to know who you are. So please tell us who is Stacy Lee Williams.
It's Stacy Lee Williams. Well, let me see. I am a woman. I am a mother of two beautiful children, Jess and JD. I am the wife of the one and only King Leo from King Leo Promotions. I am a sister, a daughter, a friend, um, a community activist, a women's activist. I'm here to share my life.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So just to sneak this one in, if there was one thing that you could share that those that are around you or close to you did not know about you, what would it be?
My goodness, what did
I
I?
mean,
I
they
feel like
know
I'm.
you, they hang with you, they fellowship with you, sup at your table, hang out at your house. But what's the one thing that they do not know or did not know about Stacy Lee Williams?
I feel like I'm such a transparent person. I mean, I share everything. I take pictures every day. I talk about my emotions. I share, what I'm passionate about and whatnot. But I guess if there's one thing that most people probably don't know about me is that I'm ambidextrous.
Oh, okay. Right in
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
But that's good. That just means you're experienced in everything in every way. Not only
Right.
cross trained there, but cross trained in all of the accolades that you have and the things that you like to do. I love that. So, welcome everyone to Hanging with the Walkers with Stacy Lee Williams. What I wanted to get into, I know that you are the vice president, founder of King Leo Promotions. So, tell us where that name came from.
So King Leo Promotion started out of what I felt was a need in the Southwest Florida community for some interesting, creative, Caribbean, positive events.
Mhm.
Um, when I moved here, my kids were younger, and we just moved from New York, where the Caribbean community is so vibrant, and I couldn't find anything that I wanted to take my children to, like events and things like that, that
Mhm.
was positive and like they had the dance hall parties and the adult parties and things like that, but there wasn't anything positive about the culture that was being shared. And one of my friends who's an artist, Kaini, was going to be in Orlando performing at a show that one of my good friends, Shiloh from Shiloh Promotions, was putting on. And he said, "Hey, I'll be in town." I was thinking I should come through. He had just dropped an album. And
Mhm.
I says, "Well, if you're coming into town, let's do a listening party."
Mhm.
And I was going to really just invite some people over to the house and kind of share his music with them and things like that. And it ended up growing and growing into we got a venue, and it became something. So then when I was getting ready to like promote this event, the thought came up that, well, I mean, do I want to put Stacy's, promoting? So at the very same day, my husband, who is a assistant store manager at Costco Wholesale, came home with the King Leo candy box logo on it because someone
Oh,
put it
okay.
on his desk. So I'm like, you know what? That's a great idea. So we called it King Leo Promotions, and that was
Wow.
the beginning of 20 years of production and video production and events production and promotions and things like that. But it came about because my husband's name is Leo.
Oh.
And someone playfully put a King Leo logo on his desk, and that's how King Leo Promotion started.
Oh man. Like listen, if people really understood, they're thinking that it takes like a really big to do a thing, but when you're given a vision or a dream, little things like that become big things because then you could, if you're creative, you can capture from it and begin to
Yeah,
build. So how amazing is that? That just from something simple,
right,
20 years later, we're still talking about how King Leo Productions came about. That's
right.
awesome. That's awesome. And I know he probably is still laughing about how it actually came about after all of these years.
And he is the most reserved and quiet person. If you were to ask him a question about King Leo Promotions, he'd be like, "Speak to Stacy. She runs everything."
Oh wow, wow.
But he is he's the solid background of what we do here in
Uh-huh.
Southwest Florida. We
Mhm.
have a massive team that works globally on King Leo things, and shouts out to my sister and my brother-in-law in New York and their team, Rudy and the rest of them. They do an amazing job of putting on shows all over the Caribbean, in New York, in Miami. We do carnivals and everything. But here in Southwest Florida, our team is, me and the hubby, and the children and the nephews and the, sisters and brothers and the family, as we call it, you
Wow.
know?
Wow.
Yeah.
A family affair. We've
Yeah.
always taught and thought about when the our Bible tells us that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So to be able to set up foundations to where our
Mhm.
kids or our families are a part of that is just awesome to me because even though their family, it's still an avenue, it's still revenue, it's still something that they can do. And even after we've gone on, they still can take part in it. They can still be able to share it. They can still be able to do that. So we're teaching them a gift. They say if you want to, we'll say give them, if you want to
Want a
feed
man?
them, give a
Give him the
man a
fish
fish.
if you want. Teach him how to fish.
That's
Yep,
it.
yep.
That's it. That's
And
it.
and
So
as you speak on that, I was just having this conversation with my daughter the other day. We were talking
mhm.
about Rhythm Runway, which is one of the shows we do, and how it came about. And she said, Rhythm Runway created who I am as a person, as far as our needs for marketing materials, was why she went to college and got a degree in marketing and advertising and communications.
Mhm.
My son, he attended Art Institute and for video production, out of the need that we had for video production. So the family was not just, it just was something that me and the hubby did, or the family just put together once in a while. It literally molded the lives of our children and some of our friends. And the things that we do was catalysts for careers to
Yes.
to happen and things like
Yes.
that.
That's it. That's it. And I like that because it helps to mold and cultivate. Some people need a reason. Some folks say, "Oh, I don't know what my purpose is," but believe it or not, King Leo Promotions help to let them see what their need was, a goal, an outlet, a way to be able to do something together. Some people like their family.
And we did that, like with the Rhythm Runway show, for example, which, as I was telling you before, rhythm is the Caribbean way of saying rhythm,
Yes.
and runway for fashion. So it's music and fashion, and that came about 17 years ago. I was having the conversation with my good friend Cliffany Teal, and we were talking about how the Caribbean culture had so much great positive music and fashion,
Yes.
and it wasn't showcased here. And she was like, well, let's do something then. And we put together these amazing shows every year that kept growing and growing. We brought in artists like Kimani Marley and Mr. Vegas and Kes the Band, and some really, really amazing Caribbean artists and designers and things like that. But on a local level, Cliffany and her team ran the fashion aspect of things. Stephanie Stevens, Karoy Bate. We had so many local people that that worked, and I hate to use the word local, but we had so many friends in the community
Yes.
that made it possible that got to showcase their gifts
Yes.
and to
Yes.
create the things that we do. We did the show Under the Blue Moon,
Oh my
where we,
goodness. Oh my goodness.
where we did a show with Melinda Blue Note,
Yes.
and there's so many people, so many sponsors, people in the community got together to make
Yes.
that amazing, right?
Yes. Yes.
We did a show at the I Will Foundation's farm, Jazz Picnic on the Farm, where we
I saw
showcased the
that one.
farm and things like that.
Mhm.
So we're always looking for ways to collaborate, to cooperate, and to showcase what other people are doing in the community also, not just us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was just having that conversation with Toya at the pre-Easter celebration. And I was telling her, I said, in our area, I said, we have so much talent. We have so much that's actually going on in our community, and everybody's doing their thing. We have a young lady, her and her husband, Melissa. They do like big fashion shows, big collaborations. Her son is in the NFL. So he comes back and gives back to his community. So they do a great big fashion show, and he comes back and he does the coaching training for the young guys in our community. And I like that. So like you say, to be able to do it in a bigger fashion, that means that no man is an island, and everybody is doing something to help bring the community together. And she kept saying, if you're going to do something like that, you got to start it. It can't just be just one here and one there. You got to start it. Everybody got to get together so it can be a community event, so that you can get a buzz going. Because
Absolutely.
there are people that take steps, and then there are some that take giant steps. uh, and like King Leo Promotions, I'm sure it was a vision that was so big. I know it probably scared you because of all the things, all the avenues, all the arms, all the activities that that you could put on. So those are the
It's
kind of things,
it still does. I post about this, when I'm putting on an event. It doesn't matter if it's 10 people or 10,000 people.
That's it. That's it.
It's the level of excellence that we want to bring,
Yes.
it comes through every single time, and it makes me anxious. It makes me nervous. Sometimes I feel like and it doesn't matter. We did the Easter parade this weekend, right?
Yes.
Now that
Yes.
might just seem, we had a float there. We had 3 carnival costumes on the parade. We had the DJ playing the music. To us, that's a small production compared to some of the things we do. I still have the
Wow.
same anxiety around a small production as
Wow.
I do any of the major events like Miami Carnival or anything else that we're doing, you know,
Wow.
because
Wow.
we always want to make sure we're bringing a level of excellence, that we're providing something meaningful to the community, whether it's
Mhm.
giving back in any way, or just showcasing something that wasn't showcased before.
And
Yeah.
of course, that's not on the list of my questions. But when I seen that $800,000 worth of scholarships, I'm like, they do things in mass production. They don't do little things. But again, like you said, it doesn't matter if it's 10 people or 10,000 people. It's just an
Right.
opportunity to be able to give back to the community in some kind of way. And then shout out to the beautiful Blue Note. Those that were not able to come to that Blue Note experience, that under the blue moon. Oh my God. I am still in awe. I am still in awe of King Leo Promotions, and the way that that event went off.
It-
Us in the crowd, it looked like it was effortless. But I've done shows and I've put together concerts and whatnot, and I know the work that goes on beyond, in the back, what nobody knows, the screaming and pulling the hair out and making sure people show up and this sort of thing. But when she came out to flow, it was as if it was effortless. And I was saying, boy, King Leo Promotions got to be somebody, because that
well,
thing came together like you wouldn't
So I'm gonna give
believe.
you the side story on that. I was hanging out with Blue one day, and she said, I can't talk to you about this right now because I don't know how it's gonna happen. But at some point, I would love to contract with you guys to put on a show for me, my first showcase. We
Mhm.
were literally driving in the car. I think I was dropping her home, and I pulled into the parking lot of Alliance for the Arts, and I said, "Look at this stage. How do you see yourself here?" and we got to talking. Shortly after that, I was thinking maybe it was like the next day or two, my friend Lisa, that runs the art and music walk downtown, the River District Alliance, she said, hey, I have this meeting I want you to attend. And it was all of the arts organizations, Alliance, River District Alliance, Sydney, Sydney Burn, everybody came together, and we were talking about how September is such a slow month for entertainment in Southwest Florida, that they wanted to do something called Art Timber, which they can showcase all the different art events and things like that. And out of that, we ended up putting on 5 shows in 5 weeks.
Wow.
So we did Roar, which is Rhythm on a Rooftop, which is our Caribbean event that happened at Sydney Burn. We did the Under the Blue Moon experience. We did Jazz Picnic on the Farm. We did another show, which was Painting with a Vibe, where we had the artists come out and do the painting with everyone. And then we ended it all with an appreciation picnic downtown the first week of October, where we put on a show with all pink. Right. So in about 5 weeks, we put on 5 shows while we were putting on the Under the Blue Moon show.
Wow.
But I mean, we get amazing people in this community that come behind us. Every time I've reached out to the North Law Firm, Joe and Benita North has always supported our vision.
Beautiful.
The art centers, the people that are involved in the arts, so many sponsors. We have Amber Reyes Realty, Lee County Housing Development. I'm sure I'm forgetting people, and I hate that. But, there's always so many people. Indira Demine from, Demine Immigration, that I can call upon and say, hey, this is my vision for what I'd like to get done. And they show up. Shari Armstrong from Fox 4, like that. They just stand behind us, and like you just said, no one man is an island. So, when we can collaborate and work with some of the best DJs and hosts and sponsors and companies in this community, that's our sweet spot.
Yes. I just think it's just so amazing how things come together, how people see your vision. And I know that we have some dreamers on the line. If you're just tapping in to Hanging with the Walkers, we're here with the beautiful Stacy Lee Williams. She's founder, vice president of operations of King Leo Promotions, doing some great things, not just in the community. As she said to me earlier, her company is global. And I said that to say this, that there are some dreamers that's on the line right now, that God has given some great visions to bring forth, to birth forth. But because there were not enough arms and legs to bring it together, then we're just sitting on these dreams. We're just sleeping on these dreams. But we have someone before us tonight that, like my book said, we can make it work. King Leo Promotions can make it work. You dream it, they can help to back to bring that thing together, because it's what they do, it's who they are. And as she says, it's a collaboration of all of them, doing what the Bible says, leaving an inheritance for their children's children. It's a family thing that all of them are together to do what it is that King Leo Promotions does. And if you missed the first part of this interview, just wait till the video is over and go back to the front, as she explains how the name King Leo Promotions came about. Something simple can be such a magnitude, such an explosion of giftings and birthings and blessings to your community. You just got to let God do it. You just got to be a vessel. And as she said, not be afraid. Just be able to connect with people that can help bring it to pass. I love that.
And I say that all the time, right? Your network is your net worth, right? Okay. Step out there, connect with the people. Even if you're an introvert, right? Attend the events, talk to people, reach out. I tell people all the time, I'm approachable, right? Reach out to me. I've had people say to me, I'd love for you to mentor me. And I've done it too. The late Gail Williams from she was the diversity director at Hodges University. Yes. And she was such a catalyst for me in getting connected in this community, right? Mm-hmm. Gail would call, she said, we're charged with being change makers. And I would never forget that.
Wow.
right? And she was the person I could call to for connections and to get seats at tables, right? And if we can't find seat, we build our own table, right? But one of the things that we were very, very sure about doing, and I still do this to this day, is that we don't just circle the table and leave it. Like, we want to make sure that up and coming people, younger people that have these visions, can come along with us, right?
Yes.
So I said this when I just recently did a conference in New York called Rise Her, and
Yes, I
I
saw
told
that.
everyone in the audience, I'm like, if you want to connect with me, you can reach out to me on any of my social media platforms, call my cell phone. I am here. Like, I am willing to speak to, talk to, and give advice to anyone. And one of the things that people don't understand with networking, we always approach it about, what can I get out of it?
Right, right,
What can you give?
right. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Right?
That's good.
Like what do you bring to the table first?
That's
you
awesome.
know
That's
I
awesome.
try to approach every situation with some kind of reciprocal in it. I do an inventory of myself. I don't
Hmm.
want to be the friend that's a taker
Yes,
always,
yes.
right? So I'm always self-checking to make sure that that I am in a place where I'm giving just as much as I get, and we are so blessed, right? To
Yes,
whom much is
yes.
given,
Much is required.
right.
That's it.
So we're always willing. I tell someone the other day, I says, we give away more than we spend. And we do, right? Because we need very little.
Yes.
But we always want to make sure that our friends are, friends don't let friends fail. My friend Keisha Martin was putting on the Riser event, and she called me. She was just venting about how hard things were, what's happening, how she didn't really expect it to be. And I'm like, I'll be there, and every one of us will be there,
Yes,
right?
that's
Because friends
awesome.
don't let friends fail.
That's it. That's it.
We show up and we put in the work.
I
Yeah,
listen, let me write that down right here so I can put that on after we're gone. Friends, don't let friends fail.
that's
Okay.
correct.
Somebody missed that uh in my growing up. Or they were not my friend. How about that? That's the
No,
only thing I can think
absolutely.
of. If they let me fail, well, God didn't let me fail. But I'm just
Right.
saying, just that mindset, friends, FRIENDS, not FAKE, but friends,
Right. Right.
FRIENDS. Because
Right.
I wrote this little taboo one time that sometimes we think we're in a circle and we're really not. We're in the circle with the person, but we're not in their circle. So that's not friends, that's associates and attachments. And sometimes I think that's where we fail ourselves. We think we're in the circle. We think that they are quote unquote friends, but they're associates and we are attached to them, not to them.
So that's
So
another thing that I try to teach in fundraising, right? Like
mhm,
you just touched upon the fact that I made a post the other day about giving out almost $900,000 worth of scholarships. I'm the
yes,
director of the Founders Scholarship Fund, and the reason why I do this work is because in Collier County, the Founders Fund gives away $24,000 per kid every year to 25 to 35 students,
wow, wow,
right? And I'm there because I feel like I get to change lives,
yeah, that's it.
right?
I
And
love it.
I'm making a difference in somebody else's life,
Yes,
right? And we do this work because we want to make sure that everybody gets a seat at the table.
that's it. I
That
love
these
it.
students who might not otherwise be able to go to college or may have student loans that, like we know, takes all the way into your 40s and 50. And if we
Yes.
and if I can help with that, then it's what we do, you
That's
know.
awesome. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Like I said earlier, I was gonna venture somewhere else, but I know that there are people that are on the line that needs to hear this. We have again dreamers and visionaries that's on the line right now that has ideas, things that they want to do, ways and avenues to be able to help other people, including myself. And sometimes resources are limited, hands don't reach as far as we can, but God connects us to people that have these avenues or revenues or connections to be able to do what it is to touch lives, to change lives. As I said, if you ever meet Melissa and her husband over in our area, and her brother, that gives to the community, along with Apostle Libby Bear that's on the line on tonight. churches and ministries that try to come together to do some great things for people, ministry conferences, trying to build and encourage people, and knowing that there's a time frame, that there are people that they want to bless and educate the masses. But again, the arms are short. Sometimes those, as you say, friends don't let friends fail, but those that we feel like would be there can't be there, or are not there, and then things just get cut short. Then the numbers fall. Then the reach becomes less because we feel like our friends failed us, and I don't want it to fail. So I can count on this 200 or 300, but I really
Yeah.
want to reach. I really want to reach 1,000. So we just
Uh,
stop and we just limit, and then we
And,
just limit God.
and what I usually say to that is don't get attached to the outcome, right? If
That's
you've reached
good.
one person and made a difference in one life, then
Uh-huh.
you've done your work.
That's it. That's it.
You know, the way I look at it, you know, we get really great reviews about our shows. And I tell people, I says, if you think that we did an amazing job, you don't even know what my vision was. Because my
Okay.
vision is always bigger than that. If we had unlimited resources and unlimited, like the vision for what's always happening in my head could not even compare to what we produce. So if you think what we produce is
That's it.
amazing, then you don't, right? But also the thing about that is I love hearing when we get great feedback and so many people have enjoyed it and things like that. But if we
Mhm.
touched one person, just one
That's it.
person, I would
That's
have
it.
been fine with that,
That's it.
you
That's
know?
it. That's how
So
we do.
yeah,
We do couples conferences. And as my husband said, if we change one marriage, one family, if one relationship is healed, then our conference was not in vain.
absolutely.
You plan for 50 or 100 people, but if you have 20, 25, if you have
Right.
one that
Right.
their marriage was changed, that it was healed, and their family was changed, I promise you, our work was not in vain. And that's what I
If
love
I
about it.
Absolutely. If I'm producing an event for 10 people or 10,000 people, I said it
Mhm.
earlier,
Mhm.
I want each person to have the same impact.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's good. That's good. I like that. Thank you so much for that. If you're just joining us, just understand and know that you are in the atmosphere of Stacy Lee Williams, Vice President of Operations and founder of King Leo Promotions and Productions. They are a global company. So what you see is not always what you get, because there's more behind the camera. I love that. I love that. Now, if someone wanted to take us through being able to promote a brand or a person, what's the first thing they should do is first get in contact with you, and then what?
So what I usually tell people, and you know, I've sat with friends from people who were starting gyms to running churches to putting together an event, putting together a music video or something like that. The first thing you do is kind of share with me your vision,
Okay.
right? And then I encourage people to storyboard it, really
Okay.
storyboard, like, you know, what do you see as the grand scheme of things if you had unlimited resources and everyone you possibly could get in contact with to be part of it, what would it look like?
Okay.
And then we kind of start scaling from there,
Okay.
right? I can tell you that with King Leo Promotions, for example, we started King Leo Promotions. We started by putting on a Caribbean event. Then
Okay.
we did a music video for the artist. We opened up a Caribbean restaurant called the Lion's Den, which took the Lion team along with it, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I adopted the name Lioness. Typically, when you see me, my jewelry, my clothes, my everything would have some form of lion on it, you know.
Okay.
So you brand yourself so
Okay.
that when people see something, they associate it with you.
Okay.
You know, so when you come up with your name and you know you get all your social media platforms and stuff like that, you start branding yourself so that you become, you know, a part of that image in
Okay.
people's eyes. You know, I have friends who go into stores right now, and if they see something with a lion, they'll take a picture and send it to me. Hey, I was thinking of you. You know what I mean? So that's a big part of it. But you know,
Okay.
put together a strategic plan.
Uh-huh.
um, Identify the people that you need to network with, mentor with, you know, and that's the start. That's the
Okay.
start. Take the
Okay.
step. I always say, you know, I had know people that have really, 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 really good ideas and really amazing talent, but they're just so scared to pull the trigger for themselves.
Yes, yes.
Right. We've owned multiple business. Some has failed, some has not. We went through the one of the biggest recessions here in 2009, where we lost our restaurant, we lost our home, we lost our rental properties. Things happen. None of those things has made me sorry that I've done them.
That's good.
Because everything had a lesson. Some
That's
were
it.
painful,
Right.
but we've learned from them.
That's
and
it.
and that's part of the reason why we've come to the realization that we need very little to make us happy. Me and the hubby, like I was telling you before, we give away more than we spend. Now, we're not rich. We don't, we're not billionaires or anything like that, but we do give from what we have.
That's it. That's it. I love that. I love that. Oh my goodness. I just let that drop in your spirit. Friends don't let friends fail. Don't get attached to the outcome. If you can't find a seat, build your own. And being a change maker. We always say atmosphere shifter, but be a change maker. Become the brand, as she said. King Leo promotions. Then, of course, they kind of relate that lion to the lioness, and it makes them think of you. So if you have a brand, if you have a name, then become the name. Become what it is that you are trying to promote, so that people will remember that whenever they see you, whenever they think of you.
I think when people in Southwest Florida think about the Caribbean culture and anything to do with the Caribbean culture, they automatically think of us these days, right? That's a culture we created, like a deliberate culture we created. Rhythm Runway, which is the first major production we put on, I birthed that name like I birthed my children.
Wow.
Like, we did extensive research to make sure that no one was using those two words together.
Yes.
That it was something brand new on the market. We weren't, using anybody else's copyright or anything like that. And we promoted it. It's music, it's fashion, it's Caribbean culture. We made sure that we kept it to the highest degree of excellence that the community could afford, And sometimes that meant we could bring in one major artist to perform, but we always made sure that our whatever the production looked like, whether the fashion part of it, the carnival part of it, the music part of it, was excellence. Yeah.
So tell me about the Rise Her. Tell me about that.
Rise Her Summit was a brainchild of my friend Keisha Martin, who is also one of the performers at Rhythm Runway. And Keisha has been at every single Rhythm Runway that we've done. She's a good friend outside of being an artist that performed for us. Keisha will show up for me for anything that I need. We talked about the Under the Blue Moon experience when we were putting together that Art Timber. The one event that we had, painting with a vibe, last minute, the night before, we lost our caterers and venue. People don't know what happens, right? And Keisha had just gotten off the plane. She had came to perform a jazz picnic on the farm, and automatically, in a matter of an hour, became my chef.
Wow.
My person to vent to, my friend. And so she called me. She says, "Hey, I have this vision. I want to put together this women's summit." And we would have a women's retreat at my house every year for a couple of years in a row, where I'd have my closest girlfriends come together, and we'll just do exercises and talk, and nothing left. It's like whatever happened here, stayed here. And we do all these empowering things and whatnot. And I even started a small, it's called Global Rising of Women, Global Rising of Women. Nice. And we would just get together and help each other. So when Keisha decided that she was going to do this Rise Her event, we all rallied around her and like, "What do you need?" And she says, "Well, I need you to come and speak. I'd love for you to speak on the networking aspect of what you do, how you raise the funds to get, artists and creatives from one place to the next and things like that." And I'm like, "I'm there." Right. So we flew into New York and we attended the event, and I spoke at the event. And we actually, the City Council of New York and the mayor gave us awards and recognized us in New York. Awesome. And then me and Keisha got to talking, and I was like, because I'm planning on bringing Rhythm Runway back and taking that global. Rhythm Runway is a show we've only ever done in Southwest Florida, but now I'm ready to take that aspect of what we do global. New York would be a great place to start.
Mm-hmm.
So next year, the Riser event is going to be a 2-day event with Riser happening one day and Rhythm Runway happening the next day.
Wow. Wow.
So we're working together to get that done. I'm talking to, and working on collaborations now with Caribbean organizations in New York,
Mm-hmm.
the New York team of King Leo Promotions, and so we're just really getting ready to like turn that into a 2-day event and really grow it some more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please keep us posted. Send the flyers, and I'll make sure I post that, because you always have different things, different avenues, but you don't mind dipping your feet into different waters,
Absolutely not. We're
outside of
actually,
your comfort zone.
I mean, nothing grows in the comfort zone.
Right, that's it. That's it. Nothing. I mean, nothing grows in the comfort zone.
Right? So we don't say grow global rising of women and not really mean that we want to grow, right? So
That's
we'll
it.
we'll, we'll take on any challenge. We fail at some work out, some don't. We've collaborated with businesses and had amazing experiences, and some of them didn't work out, and we bless them and we carry on anyway. And we try not to hold any ill will.
That's it.
We and we're always open. We're always open to working with people. We're always open to working again with them.
Yeah.
So staying in your comfort zone really, that's not something that we think is the best approach.
Come out
You
from
know,
among them.
look, I look at my son. My son he drifts cars right now. And let me tell you, as a mom that has anxiety around her kids, I would tell my kids since they were younger, if I could wrap you in a bubble and you never get one scrape, one heartbreak, one scratch,
You
one
would do it.
boo-boo, right, right. And then
Yeah.
here's my son drifting cars,
Wow.
and that's his passion.
Wow.
And when I say I have anxiety around it to this day, but I realize that again, nothing grows in the comfort zone. He's gonna do what he's going to do.
Wow. That's
So
awesome. Like I said, you
I
just keep
support
praying.
it
So tell
with
us
lots
who.
of with lots of prayer.
Right. Now tell us who is a part of your team for King Leo Promotions.
Oh my goodness. In New York, which is the biggest, arm of the King Leo Promotions brand, like my brother-in-law, Christopher Turberg, and my sister, Shalina, they literally are the ones that took the company global and just made it, this mass force in the Caribbean, and, acquired the Euphoria Mass Miami Carnival band. And we have thousands of people out on the road for Miami Carnival for that.
Wow, wow.
They have an amazing team. Rudiana, their daughter, who is part of their team and runs the marketing and promotions there. But here in Southwest Florida, me, Leo, my brother Shane, my brother-in-law Lance, my sister Sharmalita, my children, my nephews, my nieces, and just a host of family that we have acquired. I have an amazing team that when I put a fashion show together, Cliffany, Stephanie, and Karoy. We have so many artists that come behind us. We have Select AJ, who's a DJ, Scooby, even some Shorty Doo-Wop, like people who would come on
Yes.
board and,
Yes.
just be part of the vision. We have sponsors that we can always reach out to. Like I mentioned before, the North Law Firm, Mine Immigration, Amber Reyes Realty, Lee County Housing Development, just so many people. Lee Pitts Live,
Yes.
Tisha and Toya, like so many people. And I hate that I'm forgetting people and leaving people out. That's not my intentions at
Right.
all.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
just and I consider all these people part of the team.
Yeah.
Some most of them show up for no pay,
That's it.
just so that we can put on something amazing for the community.
For the community. That's it. I love it. I
When
love
we
it.
started Rhythm Runway, it's a free event. You just had to bring canned foods that we donated to the local soup kitchen, or we would give to the FGCU food pantry, to attend the events. And we would bring in major artists like Kimani Marley, Mr. Vegas, Kestaban, Rupee, Wayne Wonder. Like, we made sure that along with our veterans like Kaini, Kev, Keisha Martin, that came year after year, whether I could pay them or not. Sometimes they slept on my couch, just to
They were
make these
there.
dreams come true. Yeah.
They were there. That's it. That's it. But we have the amazing no name. There's only one like her, Blue Note, aka Melinda Blue Note Daniel. That's on the on our live on tonight. Shout out to her. And you just missed us bragging and drooling over the under the blue moon experience a little earlier, Melinda. I was just sharing with our audience how amazing that was. The fact that she can begin to flow across every genre. You know, you meet some people that can sing, gospel, blues, but she sang across every genre. And I was just in awe at the talent that was flowing under the blue moon. The atmosphere was nice. It even tried to rain. It didn't matter. Nobody was leaving. They were still sitting there trying to listen to Blue Note sing,
I met Blue at a Tisha and Toya brunch event. I think it
Yes,
was
yes.
at the Sydney and Bird Davis Art Center, and we just vibed from day one. Like we
Man.
met. And I go off energy, people's energy, right?
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
and it was just all love from the beginning. And like I mentioned, we went out to Keisha Martin's birthday party in Miami. We came back and we were just hanging out one day, and she said, hey, I'd love to do a show whenever, we could sit down and talk about it. I'm not sure. I just have this vision, but, not sure what we're going to do yet. And just was happening at the same time that Lisa was reaching out about Art Timber, and Under the Blue Moon happened along with, 5 other shows. And it was just really great to see so many people come out and support it.
Yes,
It was
yes.
so amazingly supported by the community.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the beautiful part about it is, shout out to Tisha and Toya, Southwest Florida Black TV promoters. Oh
Absolutely.
my God, just my boo babes. That you can tell me nothing wrong about Tisha and Toya. They just are genuine. They're just real. They share who they are. They believe in networking. They believe in bringing people together. They believe in helping you to birth your gifts. My first book that I wrote, I reached out to her and I told her, I wrote this book. I said I would love to, find some way to promote it. She said, don't worry about it. Just send me the book and I'll get it to Lee Pitts. And from there came my TV interview, and he's interviewed me for 4 of my 5 books. And it's been amazing. Lee Pitts Live after work, we've been able to, put up tables and, share my books and this sort of thing, share my story. So they believe in, they're visionaries for real. And they believe
Absolutely.
in bringing
And
people together.
I met Lee Pitts about 15 years ago, actually through Gail Williams. So we talked about Gail, the late
Yes,
Gail Williams. And Lee has came out to my events when we would have them at FGCU as a media sponsor, has always been a champion for everything that we've promoted.
I love it.
Really appreciate him. Love that that Tisha and Toya came about through him to be the first Black duo on major
Southwest Florida.
television.
Yes, yes, yes.
So shouts out to Lee Pitts and Tisha and Toya, Shari Armstrong, like all the people in media that are always helping us with the cause.
That's it. And then
Yeah,
to know that someone of his magnitude wants to bring us in front of audiences that we probably never would have been exposed to because of who we are, because we are considered
absolutely.
no name. But he saw something
Yep.
hit to where he said, you know what, I need to bring them on so
Yeah.
that they can get the exposure. And like I say, shout out to Lee Pitts, Lee Pitts Live After Work. It is an awesome networking event in the Southwest Florida region. Now, where I want to get to is this blog that you wrote that took me on a vision of travel. I didn't even have to leave my home. I just read the Stacy Lee Williams blog, and I declare to you, I felt like I was in Santo Domingo. I felt like I was in the Dominican Republic. I felt like I was in Spain and Paris with you. So please share with us about your blog and your travel, if we could, if we can fit that in.
It's so interesting. I started the blog for myself. I didn't even realize that people would read it. I do have the link there, and very few. It's like the on my Facebook page. I have myself listed as the janitor for Rhythm Runway, and very few people catch it. But when they do, it's always hilarious. That they're like, "Hey, do you know?" And so it's the same thing with the blog. Like I started StacyLeeWilliams.com just to talk about the places I've been, the travel, my experiences in those places,
Yes.
and I think I said it in the beginning of the blog. Don't expect the perfect grammar and all the correct spelling. I'll write this how I speak. It's
Yes.
just to give you my experience. And I'm such a transparent person. I share everything. My brother and them laugh at me because they said they know what I have for breakfast, because I'll share that and what my
That's it.
coffee looks like and whatnot.
That's
And a
it.
lot of it also have to do with when I find brands that I like, especially if they're Black owned, I promote them heavily.
Yes.
Right. I don't have to be paid to do it or anything. If I find King's Coffee and I love King's Coffee,
You
then
just do
King's
it.
Coffee will be right
That's
showcased or
it.
whatever.
That's it.
Um, but so as I travel, I would write about my experiences, whether I'm looking for the black sand at the top of an island that turns out to be a little hole after I already got lost, and had the poor man's GPS not working, and he's probably ready to divorce me at some point. Or being in Paris and realizing that they don't believe in central air.
Yes. 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 Yes.
And having to deal with what it smells like to be on the subway with people in no air conditioning in a 100-degree weather day, or flying to Ibiza just so that I could get some air.
Wow. Wow.
But I blog about my travels and I haven't in a while. So now you've actually made me realize that it's something
Oh
that I
man,
need to
you
get
got to you
back
got to
to.
start blogging again. You got to do it because as I said, there are some that may be on the line tonight that may not ever get to places that you've been to, like Paris and Tuscany and Rome, and then where you're actually from, Guyana. We may not never get to those places, but
Yeah.
just being able to see, just like when Toya and her travel group, went to Africa. We felt like we were in Africa with them. So
Yeah.
things like that I love because these are places we may not get to in our lifetime, but we can go there with you all. So
I
thank you
will. I
for
will. I
sharing.
will definitely start back. And there's some places on my bucket list. Ghana, for example. My daughter-in-law's from Ghana. I can't wait to step foot on the continent of Africa.
Yes.
I'm from Guyana, but I tell people all the time when they ask me about my heritage. So my mom's family are descendants of Indians from India.
Okay.
East Indians. But
Mhm.
my father, interestingly enough, my father's father was Chinese and Black.
Oh
Hence my
wow.
hence my my maiden name being Lee.
Okay.
And his mother was Irish and Black. Right?
Wow.
So I'm a mutt, right? I am Indian, Chinese, Black and white, right?
Wow.
And these are continents at some point that I would love to visit, countries that I want to step foot on.
Yes.
Along with a host more, like me and my sisters, when the pandemic happened, had a trip planned to Dubai that we never got to. That's on the
Yes.
bucket list,
Oh my
So there's
goodness.
quite a few places that's still on the bucket list. So I will start back blogging.
Well, when
One of the things we decided a few years ago, also me and the hubby, was we see a lot of islands. We've been to Europe. We've done a lot of traveling, but there were so many parts of the United States that we hadn't
yes,
gotten to.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
we started taking trips around the United States. Sometimes it will be a road trip in the car, and sometimes it'll be flying. But we have flown to Pittsburgh for a weekend, or made it to Tennessee just to kind of, check out the place. We've been to New
Yes.
Orleans, Mississippi, Alabama, where I went and I got to visit the Selma Bridge and,
Yes,
did the
yes,
whole tour of Montgomery and all that.
yes.
Really educate myself on the Black American experience and
Yes,
history of
ma'am.
this country. Because
Yes,
I
ma'am.
say this all the time, coming from the Caribbean, we don't always know,
That's it.
right,
That's it.
what really happened and the
Struggles and
struggles and
yes,
things like
yes,
that.
ma'am. Yes,
And
ma'am.
sometimes we compartmentalize things and differentiate ourselves, and it's something that I've had to learn and
That's
try
it.
to teach my fellow Caribbean people,
Yes.
about what the real struggle was like.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
have a way of saying, well, why wouldn't you do this instead or whatnot? Well, you don't know the systemic racism and things
That's
like that
it.
that has happened unless you educate yourself,
That's
right?
it. That's
So
it.
that was an amazing trip through Alabama to just really see, a lot of the historic sites of things happening. So, we've made a conscious decision to start. We've been to Las Vegas. We've been to California.
Mhm.
Just seeing places in America that we haven't seen before.
That's
Also,
awesome. That's
yeah.
awesome. Well, when Tisha and Toya went to Dubai, I was in Dubai with them with the skirts and the blowing in the wind. I was there with them.
So beautiful. It was such a beautiful look. I mean,
Yes.
I vicariously travel through all my friends
Yeah. Oh
also,
my goodness, I
you
love it.
know.
My
Yeah.
nephew, he's been to 40. My husband has been to 36 states. My nephew has been to 40 or 41. And then I had the experience through Chantel Rhodes, who have went to 36 countries. So I'm living dreams and visions through all of these people. So I stay connected. So when they travel, I can travel with them, in my mind.
Well, you know what? We're about bringing visions to reality. So let's do it together in real life.
That's it. That's it. I love your mindset. I love your mindset. If you're just
Okay.
tapping on tonight, we are in our minds. We are touring with Stacy Lee Williams. She is the founder and vice president of operations of King Leo Promotions. Heartfelt, nothing but love, trying to help visionaries bring forth their dreams and visions. We had the opportunity to interview PJ Jones. She's all the way in Costa Rica. But she called over to hanging with the Walkers to hang out with us and share her survival stories. Meeting people like that just get you fired up all over again to want to do something powerful, want to make a change, even if it's small, just in your family, to allow it to be able to explode, to do something big and powerful. So I just thank God for Him sending people like that our way, that we can talk to, we can share with, we can encourage one another. And I appreciate you because I know you have a busy schedule, but you thought enough of this little black girl to say, yes, I'll come in.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do not downplay yourself at all.
Yes, ma'am. I
We are
love it.
always grateful, to be recognized, to be able to share what we do, to assist in any way we can to help
Yes,
other people see a
yes,
vision. If
yes,
something that someone take away from this podcast tonight, assist them
yes.
in putting a step forward towards their dreams, to making a decision to write that book,
That's it.
sing that song,
That's
create a
it.
music video,
That's it.
put together an event, any of those things, or just to help another young woman or another person up or something like that, then we've done our jobs.
We've done our job. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Now I just like I said, I'm just excited. Please do the blog. I am just excited about the next chapter as far as your blog writing is concerned. And then what made me just just admire you, respect you even more, you're sharing about your blog, but you begin to share about health issues, things that will cause limitations, to slow you down, not stop you, but slow you down from some of the things that you'd love to do. And you mentioned about being able to meet, um, is it Deepak Chopra, the MD?
Deepak Chopra, yeah. So
Yes,
Deepak Chopra, as I learned to take better care of myself and
yes,
meditate and
yes,
like that, reading some of the books and the highlights of people like Deepak, and who teaches these things. So when he came to Southwest Florida and was at the Barbara B. Mann, it was so great to just be in his presence.
yes.
Sometimes you could just be in somebody's presence and
Oh
feel
my goodness,
energy,
yes,
right?
yes,
Energy transfers. I tell people
yes,
this all the time, and to be able to sit in the room with greats,
yes,
is some of the people that I've met along the way that God has blessed me to meet. It's just so amazing to have shared space with them,
yes, yes.
and he was one of those people. It touches you in the moment. I remember when me and Gail Williams, before she passed, went to see Michelle Obama.
Oh wow, okay.
So sometimes you sit in a room with someone, and just the feeling. It's just recently, me and my friend Erica Cooks went to see Sarah Jakes Roberts.
Nice, nice.
Just an amazing feelings to share space with some of these great people that God has
Yes,
put on their hearts or
yes.
in their lives, to just to be a catalyst for change for other people.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I was sharing with Toya. I say sometimes we don't understand, as visionaries, as dreamers, as go-getters, change makers, as you call them. Sometimes we're doing, going, giving. But every now and then we need to just slow down, as you said, and just absorb the powerful energy from the people that you're around. And I got a chance to do that on Saturday, and it was like, oh,
Yes,
like thank
self-care
you.
is so
Oh,
important, right? And
it
self-care
was
is
so awesome.
fellowship.
Yes.
Self-care is not just about meditating or
No.
exercising or
No, it's
getting your
not.
nails done. Fellowshipping with people that you love is
Come
so
on.
important.
It's so rejuvenating. I felt like I
Right.
can lick the world after we got back home.
we we would put together, I used to put together a retreat at my house, and my friends would come from New York and all over, and we would just spend the weekend. I mean, it
Yes.
would be talking, it would be tears, it would be exercises.
Yes.
One of the things we did in the room one time was, like I said, everybody here is special to me, but you don't all know each other,
Right.
right?
Right.
So we created this exercise where everyone wrote something nice about the other person, whether you knew them, liked them, didn't care. You know what I mean? And we ended up with these post-it notes, like a box full of post-it notes about people that you can't tell who's for who, but it was just
Right.
so amazing. You know what I mean?
Right.
We would do things, exercises like burn your regrets. You
Yes.
know what I
Yes.
mean? And just the fellowshipping, being around people. Self-care is so important. Like you said, I'm so transparent. If something works for me, I share, right? And the sharing could be, listen, I have scoliosis and my back is twisted,
Yeah.
but I still get up and try to exercise because I know it's good for me. But man, this is hard work. You know
Yes.
what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
So and that to some people might be overshare, but to me, if I'm helping one person that
That's
says,
it.
hey, I have that same problem too, and I see you and I'm going to do it,
That's it. That's it.
then
That's
that's
it.
what, right.
And I love that. And I saw that
Yeah.
on your blog, and I'm like, that's awesome. We even in the books that I wrote, Lee Pitts told me one time, he said, boy, you really shared some personal things in your books. I did that so folk will see that we are truly transparent. And I may be struggling with it, and you never discussed it, but now listen, the door's open now. I can approach
Right.
you and say, hey, you have autoimmune disorder, how you're dealing with this and how you're dealing with heart issues, because now I've opened it up. Well, when you all had this going on in your relationship, you did this, this, and this. So I opened it up so that you can feel free. Like you said
Right.
earlier, we're approachable, uh,
Right.
and we don't hide anything. How else can you get help if you don't talk about it? You got to be able to share it. So that's what we do, and I appreciate that. If you just
Yeah.
tapping on tonight, you are in the atmosphere of a change maker, Stacy Lee Williams, Vice President of Operations of King Leo Promotions, Rhythm Runway, Rise Her Women's Summit, doing some great things under the Blue Moon Experience in Fort Myers, doing some great things with people that want to be able to open up and dream and birth forth visions. Shout out to Miss Nora Tessa Potts that's on the line with us on tonight. Just open up the influencer in her magazine in Fort Myers. Shout out to her, a visionary that's doing some great things.
Amazing. I was
Change.
blessed to stop by when she did the grand
Nice,
opening.
nice.
I had just acquired the same day tickets to take my niece to see the MJ experience, but I just had to stop by even
That's
before going
awesome.
there to Nora's, and just to watch Nora grow and bring forth her dreams.
Oh man, that was awesome.
Creating that studio. It's such a neat, and the magazine,
Yes,
so needed in the community. Nora was on
yes.
our float this weekend. We were just
I
laughing
saw
online,
it.
talking about how, we're 52 years old and think that, we have this energy to jump up and dance and carry on like we think we're teenagers. Like, we're all hurting today, right? All of us are like hurting today after that experience.
I saw CC's tags on Facebook, like man down.
Look, listen. I mean, today the first thing I did was call my pedicurist and was like, "Can I get in today?" I mean, these dogs were hurting. You know what I mean? Like, who
Oh my
told us
God.
we
I
could
wanted to
jump
be
up
in the
for four
number.
hours on a truck, right?
I wanted
Right.
to be in the number with Nora's grand opening, and he talking about, we double booked, we're not gonna be in town. I'm like, dang, I want to send an invite because I want to be there because I like that because being able to set up a studio to where you can go in and have your lives in something that's already created. I just thought that was so magnificent and how awesome and
I want to be a guest on in her podcast studio as soon as
You know what
possible.
I mean? To be able to go and sit in there and
Invite me, Nora.
look
Let's
so
do this.
warm. Look so warm and inviting, you know. So, and I'm telling him, I said, so what part of the house can we rearrange? What room can we tear down so we can make? We are not changing. And oh, come on, we got to make something look like a studio. We got to
Tell
change it
tell
in
him,
some
tell
way.
him, tell him nothing grows in a comfort zone.
Come on. So tear up one of the rooms, take all the bedroom furniture out, and let's just make this hanging with the Walker studio. He say, calm down. Just calm down. But
Listen,
I'm ready, Stacey. I'm
I have
ready.
made my husband recreated bedrooms all the time. One
Oh,
time it was a yoga studio. I made him put a she shed outside for me, complete with electricity and AC. Like, I mean, I be getting these brain waves, and then
oh my
poor
God.
man, he's the one that it's like with the whole float this weekend in the
Yes.
parade. He ends up doing the bulk of the work. I just kind of pass the orders.
Right, right. You just give the ideas. Well, he shut that down. He says, we are not closing down one of those rooms. You're going to have to come up with another idea, and that is not it. I'm like, dang, I got to go
Who's
somewhere else.
using the room anyway? Who's using
Nobody.
the
But I'm
room?
saying, when you have guests time, what you gonna do? Put it back together? Well, yeah, because we just doing it one day a week. What's wrong with destroying the room one day a week? Who's gonna know?
Put a day bed in there.
Thank you. The day bed will work. To be able to create that atmosphere and have one of those rooms like what Nora has in her studio.
Hey, absolutely. Look, she just said that she'll come and help.
Right, right. And then you got Tisha Green that's gonna make it like pop, like for real, for real.
There you
So I'm
go.
just saying,
That's networking 101.
thank
Collaboration
you.
right there.
Thank you. So I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So keep me in your prayer that we can transform
Okay.
that thing. Oh
I
my
will get
God.
into that prayer closet for you right now.
That's it. And then Nora says it only takes one corner. That's all I need, Nora, just one corner. I
Right.
promise you we can hook that thing up. And you be saying, dang, hanging with the Walker studio really changed. So I'm working on it.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, I'm working on it. Oh my God, I am so excited. Just so happy that you're in the room with us on tonight. I just know that Miss Stacy Lee Williams is on. It's called the Rhythm Runway, RIDDIM. It's on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, on Instagram. You can reach out to her. I have her information. Let me put it back up again. If you wanted to reach out to her, 239-462-4044 or Rhythm, RIDDIM, runway at gmail.com for Stacy Lee Williams. And as she was explaining to us earlier what the rhythm stands for, like rhythm in Caribbean,
In the
right?
Caribbean, so
Yes.
rhythm in the Caribbean is the word we use for music. Like it's the rhythm, that goes behind the music. And then runway, once we decided we wanted to do a music and fashion show, we were looking for two words that would speak to the Caribbean, speak to music, speak to fashion, right? And so, like I mentioned to you before, I birthed this like I birthed my children, right? We looked
Yes.
up the name, we made sure no one was using it. We just wanted to create something new and unique. We did the same thing when we did the Roar event, Rhythm on a Rooftop, right?
Yes.
And as we were talking about branding and putting things in perspective, as you can see, the name, the Lion team, the Roar team, the Lions Den, the King Leo promotions, the Rhythm Runway, it all flows into our events. It flows into how we brand ourselves and things like that. So, but Rhythm Runway, we started it about 17 years ago. We shut down the streets of downtown Fort Myers.
Wow.
We'd put a
Wow.
stage out. We would
Oh
bring
my
in
God.
artists. We'd moved it to FGCU at one point, had shows there. And then we kind of took a pause on it and took King Leo Promotions Global under the helm of Chris and Shalina. They started doing Soca Rave and really, really big productions in New York and Miami and the Caribbean and Guyana, and acquired the Euphoria Mass Band for Miami Carnival, and very successful in how they're running it. But when it comes to the Rhythm Runway and the other shows that we do here in Southwest Florida, that's my baby. So Rhythm Runway is something that we're looking to bring back. We haven't done it in a few years.
Yes.
I am working on a New York show come March, but we're actually in talks about doing something here locally before we do that. So more to come on that as I,
Yes.
make arrangements for venue and sponsors and things like that. But it's time. The team is excited. some of our designers and people who have worked on the show for years and has always supported us is excited. So we are looking to hopefully maybe September, October, bring back a form of Rhythm Runway to Southwest Florida.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I am definitely going to get with you about this vision about the authors. I want to bring them together. We've connected with some amazing women in other states, and as I said, Miss PJ Jones, she's in Costa Rica, but we've met folk in other states, other places that are authors that are doing some amazing things, not just writing books, but they have organizations, they have women's group, they have counselors. I never even knew what a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner was until I met PJ Jones in Costa Rica. Actually got the education to be able to deal with the mind, to be able to reprogram how you think and what you think healing is, and then to go that far to step into a career as a young Black woman to be able to help us mentally, those that thought they were healed and they really were not. They were still walking in their past, to have gone through everything she went through, and then to share her life, to be transparent, to be able to do that. So I want to be able to do a format or a platform to where I
A
can.
really great resources for that, like you just mentioned, the Rise Her Summit. I was blown away at what Keisha Martin was able to pull together for creatives.
Okay.
In that room, she had people from the Grammys. She had people from charting,
Yes.
analytics, mental capacity for creatives. Just if you were any form of creative, whether it was an artist, paint wise, author, a performer, a dancer, there
Yes.
was resources in that room for how
Wow.
to
Wow.
grow.
Wow.
There was writing attorneys and entertainment lawyers in the room, representatives from Summer Stage, just a really vibrant place where creatives could come and get the information they needed.
Oh man,
Yeah,
think
it
about
was.
us when you're doing this next segment about these
Yeah.
authors with all these gifts and organizations that they've established. Think about how to fit us in there.
Yeah, I'll definitely be talking to Keisha. Like I said, the goal next year is to collaborate with her and Rise Her and make it a 2-day event.
Gotcha.
Rise Her will happen on the Sunday. Rhythm Runway will happen on the Saturday, and then Rhythm Runway will happen on the Sunday. But it's going to be focused on showcasing creatives. Yeah,
Awesome. I love
absolutely.
it. I love it. I love it. Listen, I'm telling you, if you have not like and share this video, you need to like and share this video. She is dropping nuggets that is a blessing to everyone that has tapped on this line on tonight. Not knowing all of that, who Stacy Lee Williams is, what it is that you do, who you are, what you bring to the table. If there was one thing you could change about you right now, what would it be?
I think sometimes what I could handle better is not always leading with my emotions. Right.
Okay.
It's great as a person. It's not
Yes.
always great for business.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
So, I'm an emotional being. I tend to, every story counts, everything matters, every person. And not to say that to discount any of that, but sometimes if I could take my emotions out of it and just look at things as a business and not just,
Mm.
always about the passion.
Oh, you're helping
Um,
somebody right now. Yes. Yes.
we,
Yes.
we lead with our heart, and that's not a bad thing. My heart is always with what we do. I tell people all the time, even when I get discouraged, I realize that I don't always do it for other people. I do it for myself.
Yes.
Serving is part of who I am.
Yes.
But then you also have to be very careful. And I had this conversation with my friend that's a pastor the other day, not to have a God complex. Like
That's
I'm not here to save people's life,
oh
right?
my
I'm just
God.
here,
Listen. Are y'all listening? She helping all of us tonight.
so we have to be very careful too when we're serving to not do it from a place of I'm better than you, I'm going to save you.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I search myself. When I hear these things, I have to really reflect and search myself. I do inventory on myself all the time
That's
to
good.
try to
That's
make
good.
sure that I'm coming from a place of pure love and not and mostly self-interest.
Yes.
you know
Yes.
yeah.
PJ told us in our interview, learn how to release people with love.
Yeah. Yep. Very, very important,
Learn
right?
how to release them with. I'm like, wow, okay. I can learn how to release you in love. I can't just drop you off and just forget that you ever existed because you hurt me and said something that hurt my feelings. I can release you in love. I can still love you and let go
Right.
of you because you're not going in the same direction that I'm going.
Direction
You're
is
not giving me the love that I need.
you wish you the best, on
Yes,
the grace, add no sorrow.
that's
Like,
it.
I'm
Mwah.
not wishing
That's
you
it.
any bad, but yep, yep,
That's
absolutely.
awesome. So don't have a God complex. And I'm going to post all of these sporadic between now and days from now. Friends don't let friends fail, and don't get attached to the outcome. If you can't find a seat, build your own. Be a change maker. And don't have a God complex. Don't lead with your emotions. Yeah, we our emotions, I think, is what draw us to certain kinds of people. As you say, we feel their energy, we feel their spirit. So there's something about them that draws them to you. But then I got to realize, my husband said I have a hard time trying to let people go
Yeah,
because I feel like there's something in you that needs to come out of you. So I want to try to help you in any way I can. He said, but you have to get to a place to where they don't want to grow.
yeah, it's not their time. They're not ready.
That's
You
it. They're
can't do
not
it. So
ready
you
yet.
can't do it for them. Like
That's it.
I'll say all the time, I'm here to help you if you need me, but
Yes.
I can't take the steps for you.
That's it. That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Like I say, that's where my most of my passion for my books came from when I wrote Forever Growing. Got to let it go so that I can grow. I can't hold on to it. I have to let it go. I can't want to take you somewhere that you don't want to go. I can see the vision. I can see the dream. I can see the king and the queen in you. I can see the value in you. But if you don't see it, there's nothing I can do. And I
Right.
want it better than you. And that's not what creatives do. That's
Yeah.
not who we are.
One of the things that was really great about Under the Blue Moon is, like, as soon as I would share something with Blue, and I'm like, hey, we need to do this, she was on it. She really wanted this show to happen. And when when you want it for yourself,
Yes.
you're ready. That's when good, if you're gonna sidestep and say, I want it, but I'm not sure, I don't have the funds, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have the right people, I don't
Doubt.
take the step. Take the
That's
step,
it. That's it.
and Blue did that. She said, she just said to me, I'd love to do a show one day. And that one day became 3 months
A
later or
reality.
however long. And yeah, it was amazing,
Oh my
but,
God.
but,
Yes,
but,
it was.
but we had lots of conversations around things that needed to happen and what we would do and how to bring in sponsors and putting together lists and making sure everybody was taken care of and the level of excellence that we were going to do it with and whatnot. And there was nothing that we didn't sit down and talk about that Blue didn't jump on and got it
That's it.
done.
That's it. Even
Yeah,
the vendors, even the music,
yeah,
even the in between.
yeah.
And that's the first time I heard Luna Mooney was at Under the Blue Moon. And I like that.
Interesting thing about Luna, she and my daughter, her and her twin sister, my daughter, went to elementary school together and played together as kids at the house and things like that,
Man.
and then they went on to separate high schools and things like that. But to see her grow in the community to who she is today is such an amazing. And
Oh
I
my God.
invited Luna to my 50th birthday. She was the entrance where people
Yes.
would come in,
Yes.
and it's always great when we can book her. When Blue was putting together her show, and I asked her about her vision for who she wanted to perform, her name came up, and it
Oh,
was
that's
just the right
awesome.
fit. DJ Red Dog as the DJ that night,
Yes.
amazing. There's so many people that I have to thank, and who, whether we have the funds to pay them or not, if I come to them with a vision, they're like, I got you.
Man, that's awesome. That's
And we
awesome.
work together. Like, for example, my team that does all of my flyers and my websites and building, Antonio Christie and my daughter, they might not always have the time, but they make the time for me.
That's all
And I
right.
said, and with them, all I have to tell them is hey, I want to do this. They already know my vision. They know what appeals to me and what I love.
And you have some amazing flyers. So the flyers themselves draw people to the events because
Right,
that
right.
makes all the difference in the world. My cousin is on the line tonight, Katina Washington, and she does flyers and websites and logos. And like you say, as a creative, that
Yeah,
has to speak when nothing else does because
absolutely.
that's all they see. If it's a jacked up flyer, they already
Right.
know, like, you know what, that may not even
And
be
they're the
okay.
two people that I call on, if I need a flyer, if I need a logo, if I need the website built, if I need, production, Jessica and Jess and Antonio are the people that I call for that.
Uh-huh.
Video production. I call on JD. We need the music and the sound system working. It's Lance and Shane and AJ, and these are the people that no matter what, whether we have the funds, don't have the funds, I say let's do it, and they're like, what do we do? How do
I
you need
love it.
me? Where
I
do I
love
show
it.
up?
What a blessing. Oh my goodness, what a blessing. That's what you call a village. That's really, really, truly a village.
Absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
it.
We call it
That's
the
it.
family. Being that my last name is Lee, so
Uh-huh.
we do a play on that where it's spelled Familee.
Oh,
So
that is beautiful. That's beautiful.
yeah.
Now, do you have shout outs that you want to give to anybody right now?
My gosh, like where do I start? If I had thought about this, I'd have made a list and then it would have took us all into next year. You know what I mean? But thanks to all those people that I mentioned before, all the sponsors, all the people we've worked with, all the DJs, all the production people, all of the community leaders, the media people that come behind us when we're doing this, all of the venue owners that, what do you need and how can we help? And the CRA and the mayor and the diversity council and all the people that has made everything that we have done in this area so possible. We do it for the community. We do it for the love, and we want to continue to do it. We
Yes.
hope that we touch lives, that people come out and they have an amazing experience.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the goal is always to produce the best we possibly can
That's it.
and to do what we can to support the community.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love it. I love it. I'm telling you, I have had a blessed night on tonight, just gleaming from you. The energy definitely positive, just encouraging, uplifting, and definitely a builder. Just about what you're saying and what you're doing, and we just continue to pray that God will just give you extended arms to be able to continue to do what it is that you do, and blessings to all of your family members, friends, and everyone that connects with King Leo Promotions, to do what you do for the community and for your people. Again, I say keep us posted. Flyers that you have, please tag my page. We have 3 pages on Facebook, and then we're on all the platforms. So if you're having something, I'll definitely share it, because somebody that we're talking to or will talk to may need the information that you have. Tisha's daughter was, doing the college thing. So every time I saw a scholarship opportunity, I was sending it to her.
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things that I wish for and hope that I can do in the future is extend our scholarship at the Founder Scholarship Fund, not just for Collier County, but
Man, that would be
into the
awesome.
Fort Myers area also, or even further. But we have some amazing donors in Collier County, and of course, their focus is the students there, which is
Of
great.
course, of
We're absolutely. But thank you for everything you just said. We received that with all the love that you
Oh
intended
man,
to be about.
yes.
And and we really we're happy. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this podcast. I was mentioning to someone, I'm like, the first time I remember meeting you was a few weeks ago at Tisha's party, and maybe we
Yes,
met before, but I don't
we
remember.
did. We did.
um, but this happened so fast, and it's just such an amazing experience to connect again. Like I said, I go off of energy with people, and all I've gotten from you was light and love, and I totally appreciate it.
Oh man, we were at the table, and Blue said, "Won't you get Stacy? She's an amazing person." I'm like, "Oh, listen, if you saying it, I know. I've seen you at Leaf Hits Senior Flow, around
Yeah,
Leaf Hits and whatnot." And I was telling my husband, I said, "I need to get an opportunity to just invite her." That was months ago, at our Leaf Hits Live. He said, "You're gonna do it."
you know what? It was meant to happen. So thank you for Tisha for inviting us to your awesome party.
Yes,
And
yes, so
she's
that we
so
can rub
amazing in
elbows
her own life.
together.
That's another person I need to thank. Tisha Green has showed up. I remember when I was putting together the first Roar show,
Uh-huh.
and she came in and she said, I'm gonna decorate your VIP for you. And I'm like, girl, you don't even know I don't have no money for you. You know,
Right, right, right,
and she's
right.
like, that's okay, I got you. You know what I mean? And we've moved on to do some amazing shows together. I use her for almost everything. Very rarely is there something that I'm doing that she's not part of also.
Man,
And
she's a
whatever my
quiet
budget is,
storm.
she's always willing to, to work with me. And Just an amazing person, you know.
She is. She
God has
is.
blessed us to really work with some amazing people in
Gifted.
Southwest Florida. I'm really, really
Definitely
grateful for
gifted.
it.
You
Yeah.
know, that's the only time that I have these emotions, wave of emotions, because I know where I'm from, Fort Pierce, they didn't have to worry about it. You knew Barbara some kind of way, you were connected from the all the way from the south to the north. You were connected in some way once you met me. We were gonna have some things popping where I'm from. So coming to the West Coast, getting to know different people, trying to, get connected and that sort of thing. I'm like Steve Urkel, I'm weighing them down. After a while, I'm gonna have the right names and the right people.
And again, and I know I said this earlier, it's I never take it for granted that I can call on people like the
I
Norts and
know
in
it's so
the
awesome.
Divine Law Firm and Amber Ray's Realty and the CRA and Lee County Housing and and to know that these Shari from Fox 4 and just know that Lee Pitts Live and all the people that we can call on and says, hey, I have this vision for
Yes,
what I'd like to do in the community,
yes,
and they get behind us and support what we're doing, and we never take that for granted.
that's it. I
Yeah.
did a, book signing in my hometown, Fort Pierce, and the mayor was there. The chief of police was there. I'm like, so the connections are there. Folk know the name. They know that when you're doing something with quality. So, like I say, just trying to get established in another area, but that's okay. I'm just gonna keep turning over stones. I'm gonna keep touching lives. I'm gonna keep talking to people, so that we can make it happen in our area. We have our enterprising Latinas that's over here that's making a noise, are doing some great things, some great benefits.
Well, you
Many,
should really connect with Jahida. Like I said, she wrote a
okay,
really amazing children's story book about the cultures,
I will definitely reach out to
the
her.
Latina culture
Definitely.
and things like that. And I think that that would be great
I
to
had
have
a
her on.
young lady from Ohio, and she did a children's book. And I told her to reach out to the young lady in Fort Myers that did the little small, the little red door book. You remember that they had that grand opening?
Yep,
The
yep,
young
yep.
lady that did the tiny bookstore. So I told her, why don't you send your children's book, to Fort Myers? Even though you're in
That
Ohio, it's still a children's book, and it's a book
that
of
was
affirmation.
Autumn Holloway's daughter. I don't remember
Oh
her
my
first
goodness,
name, but
that was
yeah, yeah,
awesome.
that was such a beautiful. I'd love to put I live on a main road, so it's very hard for cars to stop or
Exactly,
children to walk.
exactly.
But I
Hmm.
would love to put a tiny library in
Isn't
front of
that
my house.
something? That was beautiful. Hers is Elijah, and I forgot her daughter's name, but it's Elijah's affirmations, and she has the alphabet. And
Yeah,
every letter of the alphabet, there's an affirmation for our
that
children.
is so beautiful.
Man, it was
Yeah.
it was so powerful. I was still talking about it weeks later. I was passing it on. The adults need to read it. I know it's a children's book, but we adults need to get back to affirmations, who we are and what we are, to remind ourselves who we are, who he made us to be, because we forgot. And like you say,
And
sometimes
they said, out
we
of
get
the mouth of
insecure,
babes come the truth, right? Out
Yeah.
of the mouth of babes comes the truth.
Oh my
So
goodness, it was so powerful. But Luciana Adams is her name, out of Ohio, and I told her, please connect and send your book to Fort Myers, to the tiny bookstore. It would be an amazing thing for moms to start to teach their kids now at a young age who they are and whose they are, and that they are somebody. So
absolutely.
I love
Well,
stuff like that.
some empty
Oh,
lots in Lehigh that I'm actually like, I'm considering if I want to start a community garden with a little library and just a place
oh,
for kids to come and hang out.
and just hang out and do something positive. It's so much negative that they can
Yeah.
do, but just a positive atmosphere for them to hang out and be able to
Come
literature
grow
and
some plants so that they can see that they
yes,
can eat what they
yes,
grow and things
that's
like
it,
that, right?
that's it.
Listen,
See
if
it,
anybody
got
on
your
your
mind
life wants to
buzzing.
be a part of that and help me get that going, then we can make this happen.
See, I
I
got your
have the
mind
land.
buzzing.
Oh my God.
Got you on the
I
next
have
venture
about 4 empty
already.
lots that we could do this with.
Oh my, but don't you forget about that blogging. I'm excited. I'm looking forward
You know
to reading
what?
some more
You
Stacy
have
Lee
made
Williams.
me recommit to putting together some things to go
Good.
on the line.
If I didn't
I
accomplish
didn't
anything else tonight, I wanted to accomplish that.
but okay. I will do that.
That would be awesome. Make sure you tag me and let me know so that I can live through your lenses in all of your travel and the things that you're doing. I
Oh
love it. I
gosh.
love it. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on tonight.
It
Oh,
was so much fun. I
oh my
appreciate you.
goodness.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Any last words for anyone? Any words of encouragement to someone that's listening right now? I've dropped so many nuggets from you, but any one last thing that you just want to shout out to our creatives on tonight?
You know what I'm gonna say? So Keisha asked me the same question when I did her IG live when we were promoting Rise Her, and the one thing that came right to my head, and I think I'm gonna stick with that for you too, is for anyone that has an idea that they want to bring forth and bring their visions to reality. I'll say three words: go
Okay.
boldly forward.
Okay. I like that. Go boldly forward.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. So all you creatives that's on the line on tonight, go boldly forward. Don't back up. Don't look back. Don't go back.
You know,
Just
I'm going to share with you. You know, we were doing a show a couple of years ago, and there was someone that was just being negative and writing negative things about what we're doing and showing up at our um, things just to do that. And I remember seeing it, and one of my friends was so angry at it and wanted to say something. And I said to her, I'm like, look, our vision is this way. We're not looking to the side, and we're not
that's it.
looking back, and we're
That's
not
it.
interested in what anybody is saying or doing. We're just looking forward, you know.
That's it.
And sometimes you have to get your focus right,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and make it happen for yourself. So
That's it. That's
yes.
it. Oh my God. Shout out to the beautiful Anita North that's on the line with us on tonight, and also to Tony Watkins that's doing some great
And your
things with
amazing self.
yes, 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 yes. Shout out to Tony Watkins. He's doing some great things with our football players,
Hello,
connected
Tony.
to Chanel Johnson and also Chanel's husband, Lou Johnson, that's doing some great things. My husband is taking part in 100 Men in Black and White Sunday coming in the Palmetto area at Christian Fellowship, Dr. B.
Okay.
Lovely's ministry. And he's bringing together 100 Men in Black and White with a speaker. Pastor Johnson, that's going to be the speaker. My husband is doing the scripture, but they do some amazing things, some powerful things in our community. Shout out to our sponsors on tonight, Credible Tax Pro, Kimberly Shannon and the group. They're doing some amazing things. Also to FPF Investment Group, Dr. John Frierson, another one of our sponsors, and Silla Gibson's International Cooking, that saw the vision behind Hanging with the Walkers. And they've been with us for a while, pushing and prompting, not just investing their prayers, but investing their finances into what it is that we do. And then shout out to the amazing Tiffany Real. She is the owner of the She Real Radio. She saw one of our podcasts, and now our podcast is on She Real Radio out of Atlanta, Georgia. So we thank God for people
Beautiful.
like that, that see the vision, that says, okay, you know what, we're not just going to talk about it, we're going to be about it. And we love that.
Absolutely.
Like you say, we start with one, we start with
Yep.
two, we start with whatever God give us, and we just say thank you, and we just keep going. And as you said, a lot of visions that we do is funded by us. It's not something that someone is giving to us. It's what we believe in. So our
Yep.
finances go behind what we believe in. So I thank you for saying that on tonight too. So this has been an amazing, informative night. I look forward to seeing you in person at the next event, next time that I
Yes.
can embrace you and love on you. And just know that we're praying for you. Once we connect, we're like family. So you got another
Absolutely,
sister.
and we're the same way. You know, my friends will tell you, they're like, you know, once you become a part of the King Leo crew,
That's it.
then you know you're just family. You
That's
know,
it. You're just family. It's
and
hard to
and
get
I
rid of
really
us.
thank you again for inviting
Yes.
me.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
was really really great to talk to you and kind of share and hear what you do also,
Yes,
and we look forward to serving the community
definitely.
and doing everything we can to not only just promote our Caribbean culture, but to be a part of what's happening in our community as
That's it.
always.
That's it.
So
That's it. Thank you so much. Please shout out to your husband and your family and the King Leo Promotions group / family. Shout out to all of them. Know that we love you, and truly there's nothing you can do about it. And we'll see each other soon.
I love that. Now you need
That's
to share that
it.
too.
Love you much. Have an
All
awesome
right.
night. Good
Take
night.
care. All right.